Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bella Gamer, and this is a very different video than I normally do. One, because I'm doing this on my phone, so if it's a little wonky, if it's a little jank, it's because I don't normally do this. And I wanted to do this because I wanted to show off Daggerheart's in person, like what you can expect from the game as of at least right now with the open beta. Darrington Press has actually sent me a version of probably what's going to be coming out to try it out, to see how it works, and to tell you guys about it, as well as to kind of give my own feedback on it. So while they did provide for me all the materials here, this is not a paid sponsorship or anything. There's no specific things I need to say about it. It's all my own personal opinions. And so I wanted to share that with you all here today. So, that being the case, I get all the cats off the table. Let me go ahead and show you guys exactly what you should expect when you're getting the game. So, first, I want to start off with the box. I actually really like this particular box here, and I think that when we get a beginner box for it, it's going to have something similar. Again, kind of with the D&D motifs, these red ribbons, which stand out, and obviously it says work in progress, not D&D, but that's very D&D-esque, and it says property of Darrington Press. I doubt that's going to be on there as well, but I mean, look at the art, look at the style. I really think this particular style of like beginner box is going to be really good and pretty conducive. So in the beginner box, they gave two maps that you can use to kind of visualize your world. Each of these maps show a list of boxes for each individual region and a title for the entire map, like the Shatter or whatever. So I really like this, and like honestly, this is something that a lot more games should do because it's a lot easier to visualize what's going on with a sheet of paper that you can hand to the players rather than showing them a picture in the book. So along with this, they happen to give me some dice, which is very nice of them, but I have so many dice already, so it's completely unnecessary. But you have your fear die and your hope die. And then these little gem tokens here are the action tokens used in the game. If you want to understand a little bit more about action tokens, you can take a look at my Daggerheart review video. But let's go ahead and take a look at the rest here. So actually something I was very pleasantly surprised about were all the cards. These cards here are actually pretty good. They have a nice laminate on them. And I recently just reviewed a board game on the channel, and I could say their cards were not nearly as nice as these. And this is just a test box. So I am imagining that the final production is going to be at least of this quality, if not better. And so I was actually very pleasantly surprised. The cards are really good. And it's something I'm going to mention here in a little bit, but I do really, really like the quality of these cards. Now, they also provided a couple things. So, first of all, we'll actually open up this box here. So, they sent over this box that's pretty familiar if you checked out any of their material online, either on their website or not. The beta primer and a really nice character creation page. They actually have like some pretty good like ink used for these. They don't feel very cheap at all. I'm struggling to get into this, but it's fine. Also in this as well is a packet of pre-made characters and a quick start guide, as well as a set of sheets for all the classes. Now, in this particular box, they only gave me one set of everything. So there's only one set of sheets for the bard, which I have right here. And as well, they have one quick start for each of the classes as well, as I got one here for the sorcerer. So let's look at the quick start here. So the quick start is more or less just meant to get you into the game, get you to look at it. It kind of came in the stapled packet, so there's a little rip in the corner. That was because I just ripped it off. And it doesn't come with a second sheet, as it's not really meant for like character progression. And they came with this very interesting sheet here. So this sheet here is kind of like a guide sheet. So you line it up on one side and it will tell you each of what these sections mean, what they all represent, all that kind of stuff like that. And it does so for both sides. So while I definitely think that this is interesting, that's very encumbersome for. So, like the table I'm using here, right? A lot of people have similar space, either a coffee table or something, maybe not even a table to play off of. One sheet with this extra spread out is taking up a good, like almost quarter of the real estate on the table, realistically. So that's quite a bit, honestly. But regardless of that, in addition to the character sheet and the uh, guide sheet here, they also give you a loadout. And this loadout represents everything that you need for the characters. So you have their community, their ancestry, their subclass, and 2 of their domain cards, which is what you get at level 1. So I actually really like that that's all on one sheet. It makes it very easy. The players don't have to fumble around with the cards. And honestly, not too bad. Now, the actual sheet over here, the normal character sheet here, doesn't have anything written on it. I do like a lot of the print. It does look pretty good. It's really hard to tell over the phone. Now, this one does come with a secondary page, which has your background questions, your connections, and of course, all your level up stuff. And in addition to that, they have, if you decide to play at higher levels, a multi-class sheet. And so what you do is when your character multi-class, which you can do as early as level 5, you set your cards up side by side like this. And then all your features and whatever your subclass for druid is that you're multi-classing into shows up along with your character sheet. Now, this is, again, something that takes up a lot more space than I think is necessary. And honestly, I'm used to playing tabletop games that have like multiple character sheets. So I don't think this is super necessary to necessarily do. But they've definitely been playing around with this play mat style of having a game board for your players, essentially, which is your players have this whole kind of layout, which is kind of very reminiscent of like a board game, so they can see and view all their stuff very actively. My only concern is it just takes up a lot of real estate on a table or any kind of surface, and that is something that a lot of people just do not have this space. A lot of people just play these kind of games from their like couch or sofa, and then they have their character sheets on a table that they can review when necessary. So I feel like that style of play isn't really beneficial. And so I brought out here just some random cards, but they're all cards that are going to be necessary. So we have our community, we have our subclass card, we have our ancestry card, and then we have 2 loadout cards here for our what you would basically start out with. Now, I do know that they had prior character sheet designs that had spaces to put these on the character sheet. So you had pretty much everything available. And it seems like they've abandoned that. You now just have a deck of cards that are on your sheet. Now, the thing that this is the part that I think is just completely unnecessary. Your ancestry and what it does not need to be its own card. This can just be information on your character sheet somewhere. Same thing with your origin or whatever your subclass is and your community, because none of these things change. The loadout cards, I actually don't have a problem having a loadout card. I think giving something for players to hold and look through when it comes to their abilities is genuinely a good idea and is not information just getting lost on the page. And well, you could say something similar about these cards that, if they're just all information on a character sheet, they can just get lost on the page. these are things that you're not going to use a ton, I imagine, or at the very least, they're not the things you're going to be thinking about a lot. There's arguments that could be made either way, I'm sure, but these things just don't change while your loadout cards, once you get to level 5, can change because you'll then get a card vault, essentially, that you'll have access to. So I do like the idea of having these ability cards just on hand so that you can fiddle with them, you can read them while it's not your turn, or whatever you're doing. But I feel like it's just this is a lot of information for just level 1 in a game. And these 3 things I think can be removed so that all you have to worry about are the 5 loadout cards, which there are 5 cards here, that you will need and you can just have in a nice little pile next to your desk or table or what have you. So, with that being the case, this is essentially what you can expect. Now, obviously, the map is something that can be passed around, and this is essentially what your character area, your playmat, in a sense, will be when you play the game. And it takes up, like I said, in this overall table space here, it takes up a good quarter, maybe like a sixth of the, or like not a sixth, like 20% of the table space. You could definitely play with, like, on this table here, you could probably play comfortably with 4 players and a GM if you really wanted to, which is not necessarily that bad. But I feel like it's just a lot. There's lots of easy ways for the cards to get lost. I think the action tokens are a little bit bulky. Now, granted, the action tokens don't have to be these little gem things specifically. This is just what they gave for the sake of playtesting. But if they do market with something like this, these are just going to get lost super easy as well. And I think that the token management is also just a particularly clunky design. But I can honestly say that this is not the most egregious setup, and with how simple Daggerheart tends to run, this is actually not as cluttered as you're going to find with other tabletop settings, because honestly, if you're playing something like Pathfinder 2nd Edition or the like, you're going to have books at the table for players to read, to look through all the things in the rules, and that honestly is going to take up more space overall. So I am really feeling confident that when they release the full, like, version of this, when they're going to have their actual, like, starter box that you can get in a store, that they're going in the right direction. This seems really easy to look through and manage. I like the quick start guide and everything. And I feel like this is just a good example. If you're someone who prefers to play in person, this is generally what you can expect your play area to look like. Maybe not with all the cards like laying on your mat. Maybe you just have all the cards like off in a pile to the side of your stuff. And of course, this also has an expanded multi-class sheet, but I feel like multi-classing is just going to be a big thing in this game in particular because it gives you access to new domains. But yeah, so this is what you can kind of expect. And then of course, if you are going to like look at your level up stuff or anything, then you can just flip up one of these pages here. Struggling to do this one-handed, and not my dominant hand, mind you. And you can look at what you got on your level ups and everything, but none of that is necessary for your moment to moment gameplay. So, yeah, I feel pretty confident that this is essentially what we're looking at with the expanded multi-class. And if you don't have a multi-class, then you don't even have to worry about that little extra bit of space. But, like I said, I feel like a lot of people will multi-class. So, yeah, I feel confident that it's going to be really good. These cards are really good. The character sheets are actually not half bad. Pretty easy to read, in my opinion. I kind of wish that if they were going to do like markers and stuff, they would do something for like the HP and the stress. Because if you're constantly like drawing or filling in boxes and erasing them on your character sheet, your character sheet's just going to get slowly ruined over time. So that being the case, I don't know. I definitely think that they have a lot of interesting ways they can expand the ideas. I think they have some interesting prospects here. There's a wild cat who's looking to ruin my fun. But I hope this was informative to all of you guys. So that being the case, that's going to be it for me. Thank you all so much for watching. have good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.